Welcome back to the Cello Brain podcast. Today is a very exciting episode. I have my dear friend Haley Henderson with me, and this is a conversation I have been literally counting down the days to have with you, Haley. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ina. I'm so happy to be here and just to be in your presence and have this conversation as well. It's going to be so good.
It is. Thank you. So, let me introduce Haley. Haley Henderson is an online business coach and mentor. She is the founder of the VA Girlies Agency, which I know a little bit about, where she helps 6 to 7 figure business owners amplify their impact through strategic VA services. So her passion lies in empowering women to leverage their skills and their God-given gifts, something we talk about on the podcast all the time. This helps them create thriving life first businesses that bring freedom, flexibility, and purpose. Oh, so good. This is why I wanted to have you on. With her own journey of building a successful virtual assistant business from scratch, Haley now inspires others to embrace wealth, not just in finances, but in time, relationships, and impact. Through her work, Haley is dedicated to helping women design businesses that align with their values and create
Mm.
lives of abundance and meaning. So excited to have you on the show, Haley.
Yay! I'm so excited too, Ina. Thank you.
So, Haley, the first question that I would love for you to answer that I'm very curious about, I've heard a little bit about the story, but could you tell us your entrepreneurship story? How did you get to where you are now?
Yes, I would love to. Okay, so I guess almost 5 years ago, which is wild to say, I began my little journey of entrepreneurship. I um, knew I wanted to start a business, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that looked like. And I knew I could do back end work. I had quit my job at the hospital. I worked in nonprofit and I was nannying. So I could have a transition to understand what it was I was going to do. I got into life and health coaching and something didn't stick. Something wasn't feeling right at that moment. Now I know why. But I loved the back end work of things. So I was like, you know what? I know I can do back end work for other coaches, for other life coaches. So I simply just got on Upwork and looked for my first VA gig, virtual assistant gig, and started. I always tell people my first gig was managing someone's Facebook group. And from then, I loved who I worked with. I worked with an anxiety coach. We're really good friends now. And she told all of her friends and colleagues about me. And then all of a sudden, I quit my nanny job. I was like making more than I was making. I think I made $2,400 that first month and then quickly scaled to 5,000 and then kind of just kept going. But I still didn't know I was building a business. It was when I finally understood my God-given gifts and the skills that I had, what my bread and butter was, what I truly loved doing. I got into operations management, like an online business manager, and really was like that secondhand woman to online entrepreneurs, to a lot of business owners that were women. I understood the ins and outs of business and just started beginning like really building a business from the ground up and really never looked back. Now I no longer am a virtual assistant. However, I did open a virtual assistant agency, which I'm sure we'll talk about on here. And I now coach women how to build, grow, scale businesses with their God-given gifts and skills. So it's really like this big circle and just a really cool thing that has happened. But yeah, I just dipped my toes in entrepreneurship by just getting started, not knowing where it was going to land me.
I love the
Yeah.
openness you had in that story.
Mhm.
Like that kept coming up. You had this openness of discovering your God-given gift, your purpose, and that allowed you
Mhm.
to stay open to not only doing the nannying, but then diving into the VA world. You didn't
Mhm.
even realize that you were building a business at the time, which once again shows your openness. You were
Yeah.
open to all the possibilities, and your
Mhm.
initiative that you took through each of the steps helped get you to where you are now.
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little more about that? Like, what do you think is most important about taking initiative?
Man, I'm going to speak on this so much because I have so many women that come to me. They're like, I know I'm made for more, but I don't know what that more is. And I'm
Mhm,
always like, just start, dip your toe into something. And taking initiative is that action of telling yourself that you are made for more, that you want more for your life, that you want to build wealth, that freedom. I always say freedom in choices, freedom in time, freedom in
mhm,
just being. And God calls us to really live out our purpose. And a lot of the time we don't know what that is at all. And by taking initiative, we take the step towards what that purpose is that he has for our life. And it looks a lot different in different seasons of life, but you can look back and know that that initial start, just starting, was like the very best gift you could have ever given yourself, your family, your friends, your tribe, your community, and the people that you serve.
mhm.
Truly.
Yes, 100%.
Mhm.
I could not agree more. And
Mhm.
I especially love how you talk about like the starting somewhere. You have to start
Mhm.
somewhere and then it'll reveal itself to you, the business that
Yeah.
you are ultimately made to have.
Mhm.
So following that itch to have a business or following that pain almost that you're experiencing now to go and find your purpose, where your pain leads to your purpose is
Pain.
valuable
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a motivator for initiative. Now that's beautiful, Haley. And
Thank
I think
you.
I can be so inspiring to the people listening, which like I really want to dive deep onto the topic of your zone of genius because that keeps coming up. Like you're talking about taking initiative, starting somewhere, and then
Hmm.
finding your God-given gifts. So
Hmm.
tell me more about that. How can someone find their zone of genius, their God-given gifts that you talk about?
So I love this, Ina. So I could talk about God-given gifts all day.
Mhm,
You, from the day that you were born till now, there have been things that people have complimented you on. There have been things that you're just good at. There have been things that say, like, always give this example because I work with a lot of moms. If you are the one that is always the planner that's saying, hey, let's like do a spontaneous play date. We're going to do it this time with this thing. I'm going to bring the snacks. I'm going to do that. You are managing, you are doing something, right? Whatever your friends and family call you like on to do, are you the one that's always creating the invitations for baby showers, the whatever it is? There is something that you love to do, you know how to do really well. You just don't know that is your zone of genius. Maybe someone, for me, my whole life, I have always been the person that people come to for advice, the encourager, the cheerleader. And that led to me coaching other women. However, I didn't know that that would be what I was going to land on, that I love to do the most. And that is my zone of genius until I just started doing things that made sense, that really fulfilled me and brought me joy. And I was so open to having conversations and to really being the encourager, the cheerleader, and the one that gives all the advice, the therapist, as they say in a lot of our friend circles. So think about those things that people really compliment you on that you know you're just really good at doing,
mhm,
and then lean into them and ask yourself, how could I make this into a business? Voila, there you
mhm,
go. Now, I have a
mhm,
particular framework that I take clients through. It's called my SERVE framework, where we really dive into your gifts, your skills, and like a lot of questions that you ask yourself and really journal out so you can land on something that makes sense for you and that feels really good, that lights you up, that brings you joy, that you wake up and you're so excited to do it because it feels like it's not even work, right? So I take my clients through that, but really it's just understanding and like zoning in to your zone of genius, what it is I'm
mhm,
really good at, I love doing. And then also it's looking at your zone of excellence. Because your zone of excellence is where you operate a lot in your daily life, but you don't really love doing it, right?
mhm,
Maybe it's like doing mundane task, like someone sending you a PDF and saying, hey, can you convert this to a JPEG? Like small things that you just don't like doing. Or maybe your zone of excellence is doing creative work and or social media management and like you don't really love to do it. It feels like it's pulling teeth, but you do it anyway because it makes you money. Well, guess what? It's not your zone
Mhm.
of genius because you don't like doing it. So a lot
Yeah.
of the time we're operating in that zone of excellence and it's not allowing us to like really fill ourselves up in that zone of genius. It's taking it away. You like to
Mm-hmm.
talk about, a 10x jump, right? We talk about
Yeah.
that all the time. And it's operating, your zone of excellence is really operating in that 80%, where your zone of genius is that 20%. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't take the time to really understand what their zone of genius is.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wow, Haley,
Yeah.
this is gold. This is
Mm.
so amazing. This is firing me up because of two things. So, first of all,
Mhm.
I've been looking back at my own entrepreneurship journey, and what I
Mm.
realized is I went through that exact process. I had one page where I was like, what's my passions? Page two, what was my expertise? Made the lists, and then I crossed
Mhm.
the lines. So it's like, where does it overlap? And then I ended up
Yes.
doing cello. So that is how I got started, and it works. Like,
Hmm.
just
It
start.
works.
And then the second thing is I would love your opinion on this. So I was
Okay.
always taught that when you are a creative person, you can be good at anything. That was
Mm.
ingrained in me. I can literally do anything that I want, which
Mm.
actually led me to not find my unique purpose until like in the last
Mm.
couple of months. So, what would you say to someone who's like, well, I know I'm smart enough, I know I'm good enough to learn anything, I could do anything. How do I narrow it down?
Ooh. I feel this too, Ina, because I feel like in the past couple of months, I've pivoted so much too because of this exact thing. I think that, when you're building a business or you're trying to figure out what that zone of genius is, your unique ability, sometimes it's going to take a lot more time than you anticipate
Hmm.
because what you might think is your zone of genius or your unique ability, God sometimes puts us in those places so then we can figure out what that next step is. And so what I would say is when you're trying to figure out like what you're really good at and so, because yeah, we've been told you can do whatever you want to do. You're
Hmm.
smart, you're capable, you've got this, you're made for more, you can do whatever it is. However, we it leads to a lot of burnout because we're almost like searching, searching, searching for what that one
Yeah.
thing is. When in reality, that one thing that we've been searching for has been like, I always say, like God knocking at your door, like telling you, they're like God winks. He's like, hey, this is what I want you to do. This is
Mm.
what I want you to do. But you're over here doing all the other things that he is putting you in so that you can see what he actually wants you to do. Does
Yeah,
that make sense? What I'm trying?
that
Yeah.
makes a lot of
So
sense. Yeah, it's all
it a
connected.
lot it's all connected and a lot of the times it
Yeah.
can look like for me I think about wealth skills as a program that a lot of my girls go through and wealth skills came to me in a moment of it was like I don't we were at sales mastery, the conference sales mastery,
In
oh my
June,
goodness, in June we are
Sales Girl
at
Summit.
Sales Girl Summit. My goodness, there's
Yeah,
so many things.
so
We were
many
at
names.
Sales Girls. I know. We were at Sales Girl Summit, and I knew I wanted to create a program that was beyond what I was doing in the virtual assistant world, teaching women how to
Ah.
become virtual assistants. And I knew for a long time God has been putting on my heart the word wealth, wealth, wealth,
Mm.
wealth. And I wasn't necessarily coaching at the time. I just had a starter kit and I had women coming in doing a
Right.
course. And he kept on saying wealth, wealth, wealth. And I was like, this moment of clarity. It was when Myron Golden was on the stage and I wrote the name Wealth Skills down and circled it like 100 times. I was like, this is the program. This is it. Fast forward literally today, Ina, I was mapping out brainstorming. I know you love to map out as
Yeah.
well. And I was like, what does this look like? Because for a long time, my zone of excellence is teaching women how to become VAs, right? I can tell
Yeah.
you that from the ins and outs, tell you what to do, how to scale it, all the things.
Hmm.
But what my zone of genius is coaching these women and creating this lifestyle of wealth really honing in on their purpose, honing in on their gifts, their God-given gifts and skills, and living this life of abundance and meaning.
Mm.
And I was like, God has been wealth, wealth, wealth. Well, what does wealth look like? I've been on this journey of like, what does that really entail? What does that look like for me, for
Yeah.
others? And it's this, the wealthy girl came about. And I'm like, the wealthy girl coaching.
Mm.
So, and now I'm like, I like the creativity is flowing, it's going.
Yeah.
It's like I'm operating in my zone of genius. I
Mm.
now had to shed that identity of the zone of excellence that I was in and choose to step into this zone of genius that God is truly calling me to
Mm-hmm.
step into in this wealthy girl land, if you want to call it, right? And
Yeah.
whatever that looks like, I'm stepping into it now. And so I don't even remember the first question you asked me, Ina,
This,
but
I love this. Yeah.
I think it all just comes down to like taking the initiative and just starting and just
Mm-hmm.
like building momentum and just keep like just going and never looking back, always moving forward
Yeah.
so that you can land in your zone of genius.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a reason the rear view mirror is so much smaller than the windshield.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
I absolutely love hearing about this pivot because I've actually had a little bit of an inside seat in this. I was sitting next to you when you wrote down wealth skills. I remember you like circling. It was really loud
Oh my
with your pen.
gosh.
Caught my
Yes.
attention. I had to look over, and I was like I had this catch. I was like, that is brilliant.
Mm,
And
mhm.
I looked at your face, and you were like completely lit up. Like you looked like you had just had like a 3 shots of espresso or something.
Well,
And
I probably did, but
probably, I think
yes.
maybe.
It was definitely a light bulb moment and like I
Hmm.
would say a very like feeling so at peace and at ease and like
Mm.
let's go type of moment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
You know, those are all signs that you're working in your unique, I call it the unique purpose or zone of genius.
Mm, hmm.
And I'm hearing you describe like you feel peace, you have more creativity, you
Hmm.
are you have trust in yourself, you have more
Yes.
confidence. What would you say about that? Like when you're working in your zone of genius, what are the signs that you've noticed in the
Mm.
women you coach and yourself that you've found it, like you've struck gold?
So I think about a student of mine. Her name is Abigail, and she has been with me from the very beginning.
Wow.
She got in my starter kit. She got into wealth skills. She's done everything that I've ever done.
Hmm.
She's now in my higher level coaching, my almost inner circle that we have here. It's now being called,
Hmm.
what am I calling it? Her scale up or something. Who knows what
It's
it's
so
going to be
new. You have
called?
to check your board.
We're
Yeah.
we're in our wealthy girl era. Anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
today on our call, she said to me, and it looks like this, is when you have so much joy, you're lit up, you like walk through life with peace and clarity. That is when you are living in your zone of genius.
Yeah.
When you have so much insight and creativity just pouring through you and you know you have to give up things. That is a
Yeah.
big indication. Today on our call, she said, so she has stepped into marketing and consulting, and she works with small brick and mortars and helping them with their marketing and all of that. However, she had clients before where she was doing social media for them. Now she knows that is not what she wants to do. So she said, Haley, I need to figure out a way that I can hire people. I still have them as clients, but I can hire people. I'm no longer doing that work. However, it's still building me income, aka wealth,
Hmm.
but it's allowing me to operate more in my consulting, in my consulting side of my business. So it really
Hmm.
lights me up. So she found a way where she could still do this side of her business, but step into that wealthy girl era that she's stepping
Yeah.
into, where she really is pursuing what she loves and making an impact with her God-given gifts. Like marketing, she knows it in and
Mm.
out. And it's something that she absolutely loves to do and loves teaching those brick and mortar stores where those
Hmm.
employees, like they're 1 to 5 employees. And she's like their cheerleader. She's in it for them to win it. And so
Wow.
that was a cool moment to see and for her to light up and for her to like give herself like even permission like this is what I'm doing and it feels so good. I'm living in my purpose. That is
Mm.
what it looks like.
Mm. Those signs, I've seen them in myself. I've seen them in you. And in all of the entrepreneurs that I communicate with. And you're entirely
Yeah.
right. Not only are you giving up certain things, you're shedding an old identity, but you
Mm-hmm.
also seeing almost a smoother path.
Ooh, I like that
You
word.
you find the next step. The next step reveals itself to you much easier than if you're trying to force it. And
Exactly.
I think something that you taught me is that anytime I feel frustration, it means I'm trying to force something. That was that one
Yes.
night back in September. We were all in the
Mm-hmm.
living room chatting, and when you're trying to force a certain business plan or a certain course or something that you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you should be selling, but it's just not
Mm-hmm.
working, pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
I'm noticing like a common thread in what you're saying. Like pay attention to how you're feeling
Yeah.
because it matters. It reveals what is your zone of genius.
It does. And another thing that just popped in to my head is like when you're talking about that frustration, Ina, is when you are operating in this zone of genius and really in your God-given gifts and skills, money comes more easily. Like it's a byproduct of it,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
And I was just thinking about today, even with Abigail, she was like, my income doubled and I didn't even realize it. And it's because
Crazy.
she is so happy doing what she is doing that like the money just came and she didn't even realize it. That is what, like, when you operate in that, like, what do you say, your unique purpose? That's what comes. It is the most
Hmm.
beautiful place to be in, and it doesn't feel hard. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
frustrating. It feels like you're just flowing and it's easy and
Yeah.
you're confident and it's just a beautiful place to be.
It really is. It changes everything. Like it
It
affects
does.
how you show up to your team, how you show up as a mother. And I know
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to you. You are a mom of two beautiful little girls, and I'd love for you to talk more about how this path of finding your own zone of genius has affected your motherhood and
Yeah.
what you would love for that to look like if you haven't already achieved what you want it to look like.
Yeah. So I used to be the person that thought I couldn't have both, that I either had to be career driven
Mm-hmm.
or I had to be like stay-at-home mom driven. But there is a way where you can do both. And I
Mm-hmm.
found that. And that's really what I teach other women too, is like you can create this own unique version instead of following the rules of the world, right? And the other, I, my girls are, family always comes first for me. Like whatever I do, it's for
Mm-hmm.
them. However, I think for the longest time, I tried to beat myself up from, you're not career driven. You can't be career driven. You can't do this. You can't build a business. And it's like this, just like the enemy attacking me from all these places. But I do know that God calls us to be business owners, to like be fulfilled, not only as a mom, but in the ways that He calls us so that we can make an impact for His kingdom as well, right? So
Yeah.
that means that He wants us to be business owners and serve in the way that we're called to serve. And so that is what really has driven not only me as a mom, but as a business owner and as a wife. Like I can do it all. And I can do it all if I just let him drive, like be the driver and not me.
Mm-hmm.
And my plan will never work. It's always his plan that works. And so motherhood has looked a lot different now that I have come to terms with I can be career driven. I can be a flexible mom. I can do all these things and feel fulfilled in motherhood, in business, in life, in being a wife, right? And so I want my girls to look at me and say like, wow, like my mom changed everything for us. Because growing up, my dad is an entrepreneur, but he never really went after his dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He kind of like always still did the traditional job and really was in his zone of excellence his whole life. He still is.
Mm-hmm.
And so he led our household well. He's the best dad I like could have ever asked for. But he was also a good example of what life could be like if I didn't take the leap. right?
Hmm.
If I didn't, and so I knew I wanted more for my family, for myself. And I also knew like I had to do it. Like I am so big about generational wealth and really creating this business that brings us joy throughout generations. Whether it's
Hmm.
money, I want my girls to look at me and say, Mom was living in her purpose. She was making a huge impact, not only in my life, but in other women's lives. That's really what I want want them to say. And also to say, like, my parents' marriage was something to look up to. I don't want them to look back and be like, I don't want to do that in my marriage. You know what I mean? And so I,
100%.
yeah. And so I think about all of those aspects when it comes to being business owners, running businesses, being moms, like it all interplays together. And it's really about like creating priorities. Um, and family being the number one priority, but I don't believe in work-life balance. There's just never going to be
Yeah.
work-life balance. There's just not. I do believe in priorities and like what is a priority today in
Mm.
in my business and being a mom and being a wife, like what are the priorities in those different categories? And that
Mhm.
helps you structure yourself in a way where you don't feel so like stretched thin or burnt
Mhm.
out. Truly. Yeah.
100% agree. I
Hmm.
could not have said it better myself. That is absolutely beautiful, and it really connects to something we've talked about in the past about that book, the No BS Small Business book. Yeah, it
Yes.
talks about the values. So I can
Hmm.
tell that motherhood is one of the values that actually drives a lot of your business decisions. Uh, I,
Absolutely.
yeah, just last week I think you said you don't want to be on Zoom all day, for example. Like you want to like cut off your hours at a certain time and be there for
Mhm.
your girls, be able to pick them up, like truly be the present mom, which presence is really the only way to have that work-life balance.
Exactly.
In the moment, that's what really matters.
I totally agree with you, Ina. And I think sometimes it's having to make hard decisions. Like
Hmm.
when I said I don't want to be on Zoom for 10 hours this week,
Yeah.
that was hard because I had to let go of money,
Yeah.
right? But
You have
I
to
knew
sacrifice, give up
I had to
something.
sacrifice money in my challenge. I canceled my challenge. I was like,
I remember.
it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel aligned in this season. I had, and it was shedding an identity as well and stepping
Yeah.
into the new one that I now am in this moment. But
Mm.
like sometimes it is sacrifice in money, in time. And I knew I was like, I do not want to sacrifice this time with my family. My owner's intent, hello, no, the small business book.
Yep.
My owner's intent is to spend 80% of time with my family and 20% with my business. And so that it was not tracking. It wasn't tracking. And
Hmm.
so I had to look back and say, Haley, this doesn't align with your owner's intent. This
Hmm.
doesn't align with how you want to run your business. So why are you going to be on Zoom for 10 hours?
Yeah.
Cancel it.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
That took a lot of courage.
it did. It did.
It was worth it. I can see it. I'm making this connection right now. You're sitting here today and you have this whole whiteboard that I saw before we hit record with
Yes.
all your new ideas. Yeah, right there. And it has these aha moments, the light bulbs, the flow of new ideas that came from sticking to your owner's intent and operating
Exactly.
your zone of genius. Like that's one of those signs that you made the right
Mhm.
decision. And
Mhm.
on a very practical note, I'm really curious, like, what does a day in the life of Haley look like with following your owner's intent and with these new pivots and the beautiful things
Mhm.
you're creating?
So today was the perfect day, if I have to say myself. So I'm going to tell
Tell
you
me
what I did
more.
today.
Yes, please.
So welcome to the 5 a.m. club. We wake up at 5 a.m. Ina, I know that you wake up early too. We are
Hmm.
really big in morning routines. So what I call in my neck of the woods is it's called your daily bread. And because wealthy girls have to nourish ourselves, right? So
Hmm.
I wake up at 5 a.m. and I get my morning devotional going. And I've had so many people ask me about my devotional. So I'm going to give it a shout out on this podcast. It's
Yes.
100 days. It's called 100 Days of Believing Bigger. It's a devotional journal by Marshawn Daniels. It's incredible,
Okay.
especially for the entrepreneur. And so
Mm.
I do my devotional every single day in this book. And then I also have other studies that I'm doing. I'm in the book of Matthew that I'm studying right now.
Mm.
So I journal and I do all of that. And I also, during that time between 5 a.m. and 7, I am getting Ruthie, my oldest, she's 3, and she goes to 3K half days, sometimes full days. And so it depends if she's going a full day. So today was a full day, and I made her lunch during that time. I actually got some work done. I wrote out 4 emails in that time. I also got
Wow.
some Zoom calls scheduled. I made myself breakfast. I made myself coffee. So I really was just like sitting in this place of just being by myself, and it was amazing. So my daughter wakes up around 7. She comes out and we eat breakfast together. We get her ready for school. Then we get my daughter Sophie also ready. She does Mother's Morning Out. So today was one of those
Mm.
days. We got her ready. My husband actually took the kids to school today. I'm usually the
Oh,
ones doing it, but I had an 8:30 workout scheduled with a dear friend of mine. So I went to the gym
mm.
because we move our bodies because a lethargic
Yes.
mind produces lethargic results, right? And
Hmm.
so we move our
Hmm.
bodies. And so I came home and got ready because we get ready every single day. And then I started working. What did I have today? I had a client call this morning. We onboarded a new client into the agency. I got some content
Congratulations.
done. Thank you. Got some content done and really just worked from about, I had a coaching call this morning too. So we had a lot
Wow.
of things
Yeah.
going on. So from about 10 a.m. till probably 11:45, I worked and did all of that goodness. And then I picked up my daughter for Mother's Morning Out and then spent the rest of the time with her. And then now I'm on this beautiful
Mm.
call with you. So that's really what my
Mm.
day looks like. Yeah.
What a wonderful day living in your purpose.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what? It's only 3:40.
I know. And I know I ran through my day, but it was a great day, It was like, I want every day to be like this.
Mm,
It
hmm.
was a
And that
beautiful
is what
day.
you have. Like you're capable of doing this because you have wealth of time now. You have wealth of
Yes.
money. You have wealth of
Mhm.
like your freedom. In the book,
Yeah.
10x is easier than 2x, I think he talks about the three different freedoms: freedom of
Mm.
intention, relationship, time, and money. Four
Yeah.
freedoms, actually.
4. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that is beautiful. I noticed that you basically did four things. My brain is like, I'm going to categorize
I love
this.
it.
So you took care of your mind, your body, your spirit, and serving. And
I'm
in
writing
serving,
that
you
down,
did all of that for someone else.
Yeah. And I think that's the key also, to really living in your zone of genius and
Mm.
really feeling fulfilled, like is serving. If you can do it with a servant heart, then you can do anything, right?
Mhm.
And the money is going to follow when you are serving from that impactful place, truly. And I know
Mhm.
you do that so well with your clients as well. Like you just want to serve them and serve them so
Yeah.
well through these containers that you have, and you do
Mhm.
that. And so I want to honor you and what you do as well. Like
Mm, thank
you're
you.
serving your community so well.
Thank you. That is so
Mhm.
kind. I will never forget the day that we were at Sales Master Live in September
Mm.
when we were in the car and I was crying. I was like, couldn't find my unique purpose. And was talking to you and and I was telling you, I just want to serve. I just want to serve so badly. And you told me, Ina, you are.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what I needed to hear. Like you were coaching me in that moment. You are a phenomenal coach. You help people see themselves in a new light.
Mm.
And you have a wealth of abundance, like an abundance mindset, which brings me to one of my last questions for you today. What does wealth mean to you?
Thank you for asking. Wealth means so much to me. It all comes down to wealth is having abundance in every area of your life. So, like you
Mm.
said, wealth and freedom, the freedom to live life on your own terms. I know we hear that phrase so much, but it's really about building a business that supports your family and gives you the time to focus on what truly matters to you. Whether that's spending time with your loved ones, going to Pilates class, whether it's like whatever you want. I want you to live in your purpose, and that is through finding wealth, right? That is
Mm.
through finding wealth in freedom. So, really
Hmm.
making choices that bring joy and balance. Wealth is also like purpose. It's that deep fulfillment that comes from empowering others, really serving your community, really serving and helping clients grow and inspiring them to step into their potential, right? And to
Mhm.
create lives that they truly love as well. Wealth is also impact. And yes, I really do believe impact equals money. Like when you're making and serving, you are going to make money because you're making an impact. And money is that byproduct of meaningful work. And so wealth is really stepping
Mhm.
into meaningful work. This is about earning in a way that not only supports you, your family, but is allowing you to make a difference. Like truly, I know and believe that God calls us to serve and make an impact, whether it's big or small. We are called to make an impact on this earth and to truly leave a
Yeah.
legacy behind through our impact. And so wealth is that impact in creating opportunities, giving back, really serving our community. And so ultimately, like I said, it's really creating wealth in every aspect of your life, having the flexibility to pursue what you love, the freedom to say yes to
Mhm.
what lights you up, and the clarity to feel at peace while you're doing it. That is
Mhm.
wealth. That truly
Mhm.
is wealth.
Mhm. It goes beyond the money. The money ends up being the
Beyond.
byproduct
It is.
of creating wealth.
It
Mhm.
is.
Wow.
Absolutely. And
That
I
is so
have to
cool.
say, Ina, I I have really been discovering this whole wealth, right? Like we talked about, wealth skills happen, and then just like, what does this all mean? How do I serve my community with this word wealth? And I think back to when I came up with this idea, and now because I really honed in my zone of genius and really understood my God-given gifts and skills, which is coaching and leading others in this impactful way. My business has grown by, I checked the other week, 186% from last year.
Wow.
186%. And so that is what happens when you understand your God-given gifts and skills. Truly, you're
Hmm.
serving with purpose, with impact, and you're focusing on this wealthy girl and creating her and
Hmm.
creating a business around it. That is what can happen.
Yeah.
Truly, the money comes from really serving so well.
Zig Ziglar says you can have anything in this world that you want if you help enough other people get what they want.
Amen. Amen.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And that's what you're doing. You're helping other people get what they want. You're helping
Hmm.
them have that abundance, the purpose, impact, serving, freedom, those five things you mentioned that
Yeah.
that is wealth.
Hmm.
And that helps you just be your most creative self, which is what we are
Exactly.
made to be. We're made to create.
We are made to create.
So
Wealthy
beautiful.
girls create. They
Hmm.
create.
Hmm. Wow. Haley, thank you for this incredibly inspiring conversation. I just know I'm going to be writing for like the next hour, trying to
Me
capture some of the
too.
light bulb moments. So, Haley, how can people find you?
Yes. Okay. You can find me on Instagram at Haley Van Henderson. Haley, Haley, V as in Victor, Ann, Henderson. You can find me on Instagram and please send me a message. I love being in conversations in my DMs. I love it so
Hmm.
much. You're gonna get a voice message from me and just know that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But just reach out. I would love just to have a conversation with you. If you are looking for, I have an agency as well, the VA Girls
Hmm.
Agency. And so you can find me on Instagram at the VA Girlies Agency as well. That is where I have my virtual assistant trainings, courses, as well as we serve 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs who want to 10x their business. So by hiring strategic virtual assistant services. So we'd love to find you on both of those. And yeah, just send me a DM. I would love to get to know you.
Amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Haley. Oh my goodness, we didn't even touch on the VA
Oh,
Girlies Agency, which just
doesn't
means we're
even
gonna have to do
matter.
another episode.
Yes,
But
we
I will
sure
be sure to
will.
link all of that
Mhm.
below. And thank you. Thank you again
Thank you
so much,
so
Haley.
much. Thank you so much, Ina. This has really been an honor and such a pleasure to be on with you today. Really.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And thank you to the listeners for making it to the end of another episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day.